Time has expired. Senator Brown.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Birmingham. I refer to the answer the Minister for Urban Infrastructure gave in the House yesterday about the commuter car park fund. Yesterday, the Minister claimed decisions were based on departmental advice, yet the Auditor-General found that not one of the 47 car parks were recommended by the department. Today, Mr Morrison refused on 9 occasions to say what involvement he had in deciding the car parks in target seats. At any point, did Mr Morrison or his office see the list of top 20 marginal seats used to distribute funds?
The Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Colbeck. Oh, sorry, Senator Birmingham. I apologise.
Thanks, Mr President. Mr President, these are valuable projects for communities around Australia that the Senator is asking questions about. They do and will provide benefit to people in a range of different communities. As is well known, they were a subject of an A&O report, and the department's accepted the recommendations of that report and has begun to implement them.
Have you concluded your answer, Senator Birmingham? Order. Order. Senator Brown, a supplementary question. Order. Senator Brown is on her feet. Order. Senator Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr President. Evidence on the public record makes clear the Prime Minister's office was directly involved in deciding grants under the Community Sport Infrastructure Grants Program, revising projects on the infamous colour-coded spreadsheet. Can the Minister outline the role the Prime Minister's office played funding car parks for political gain?
Senator Birmingham.
Well, thanks, Mr President. Mr President, it's not unusual for ministers, prime ministers, to be lobbied, to be engaged in relation to needs in different communities across the country. And Mr President, I listen to those opposite, who, of course, once again, they have their own version of history. They fail to acknowledge the fact that Labor had its own $300 million park and ride fund, don't they?
Order. Senator Wong on a point of order.
Point of order, direct relevance. The question goes to, and the Prime Minister was asked 9 times, did not answer. This minister did not answer. And we are asking in this chamber what role the Prime Minister or his office played in funding these car parks.
On the point of order, the minister was in order until I think he strayed upon an alternative on alternative programs, because I believe to be directly relevant. One needs to be relevant to the multiple programs that were mentioned in the question. Senator Birmingham.
Thanks, Mr President. Well, the question goes to rank hypocrisy too in terms of the approach of those opposite. The Prime Minister certainly played no greater role than I suspect the member for Maribyrnong did in announcing 24 such projects.
Senator Brown, a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Today, Mr Morrison claimed Australians had voted for his commuter car park fund, despite the majority of grants being approved before the election was called. This minister echoed those views recently on Insiders. Does this minister really expect Australians to accept the Morrison government using taxpayer money as Liberal Party money on the basis that rorts are okay if you're re-elected?
Senator Birmingham.
Thanks, Mr President. Well, it seems it's okay for those on that side to throw mud about something this side of politics does in relation to funding community infrastructure, and they'll call that names. But when they were doing exactly the same thing in the lead-up to the last election, when they were doing exactly the same thing, of course it was valuable community infrastructure. It was okay for the member for Maribyrnong to run around the country announcing car parks in different locations, but it's not okay for the coalition to do it.
Your seat. Before you raise a point of order, Senator Wong, you would have heard me constantly call it. I couldn't hear a word that was being said. Well, you may have better hearing than I have. I couldn't hear a word as I was calling senators to order.
Mr President, I understand the sensitivity this minister has in defending this, but he has now on 3 occasions avoided answering a question and resorted simply to going about
All right, Senator Wong, I don't a critique of the content of an answer and whether someone asserts it is an answer or otherwise is not a matter for here. That goes to the content of an answer. Points of order are for direct relevance. I genuinely could not hear a word of Senator Birmingham's quite loud voice as I was constantly calling senators to order. So, Senator Birmingham, to continue.
Thanks, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm happy to come into this place and answer serious questions, well-intentioned questions. I'll deal with the fact that when questions come, of course, from people who hold a consistency in relation to their position. On this matter, I just find it so hypocritical, so amazing that those opposite—
Order. Senator Wong on a point of order.
Point of order, direct relevance. This question goes to the expenditure of public monies. It is not directly relevant within the standing orders for him to simply talk about the Labor Party.
Well, I'm not at this. I take that point, Senator Wong, and I ruled that point earlier. But as I've made previously too, a glancing comment as you rose to following the minister when the minister made a comment about the opposition at that point, while answering a question about his own comments that contains politically charged phrases in the question, I think an answer of that nature is not out of order. I have consistently ruled very tightly when questions are tight, factual questions, as I did earlier this week. This was not one of those, and the minister is entitled to defend his own record and statements in a manner he sees fit when they're contained in the question. Senator Birmingham.
Thanks, Mr. President. Mr. President, I am simply pointing out the double standard. The Coalition announced policy and commitments in relation to investing in community infrastructure in car parks. The Labor Party announced pre-election policy to invest in car parks.
Senator Birmingham.
Each of them would have been funded by the—
Time for the answer has expired.